What's going on YouTube? So previously we showed you guys the updated 2026 Corolla Cross in its hybrid form. However, Toyota has really distinguished the hybrid and the traditional gas trims significantly for this 2026 model. And today we're going to be showing you guys the gas-powered option in its top trim, the XLE. Most people, actually over 60% Toyota says, will be choosing the gas option. So we want to go through and show you all the detailed things about this model, especially what you get with this top XLE. So let's get into it. All right, so let's quickly get things started here with our spec dump. So under the hood of the 2026 Corolla, you'll continue to find two different powertrain options, a hybrid or the traditional gas option, which is what we have today. This is a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine making 169 horsepower and 150 pound-feet of torque. It's paired to a continuously variable transmission. You have available all-wheel drive, and when selected, it gets 30 mpg combined.
Now, the base price for the gas Corolla Cross is a little under $25,000, and if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now, of course, later on in this review, we'll be going out on a test drive to show you the performance of this powertrain.
But let's go ahead and close up the hood because there's a lot to talk about in terms of the exterior design and the updates for the inside. So let's jump right into the exterior design. Now, like I mentioned at the introduction, the two different powertrains have distinctly different appearances because the gas-powered options are only available in the more traditional trims, the L, LE, and XLE, and then your hybrid options get the sport grade trims. So when you choose the gas-powered options, that gives you a lot more of a rugged appearance compared to the hybrid option. So for 2026, we get this brand new grille. It's kind of boxed off, giving it a more rugged appearance that looks a lot more like the RAV4. Here on the XLE trim level, we've got the gloss black accent that goes across the top there with our silver Toyota branding. And then down here, again, you have that rugged design with the matte black plastic. Now, in terms of our lighting, all models for 2026 get projector LED headlights. We also have the premium arrangement with the XLE, giving you the LED daytime running light and turn signal indicator, plus LED fog lights down here at the bottom. Wheel sizes will vary between 17 and 18 inches. We have a 18-inch contrast alloy, of course, here on the XLE trim. I like the overall look of this, and it matches nicely with the paint on today's model. So this is actually Soul Red, which is interesting because if you recognize that, that's a Mazda color, but it's because the Corolla Cross is built in Huntsville, Alabama with the Mazda CX-50, so they have this one shared color. Now you get some matte black wheel arches through there, gloss black finish up here on our mirrors, and of course the XLE will get standard blind spot monitoring and heating.
Now at the side, the Corolla Cross comes in at 176.1 inches in overall vehicle length. That's about 6 inches shorter than something like a RAV4 for reference, and it does have a pretty boxy overall shape to it. As far as design touches, all of the bottoms of our window surrounds are blacked out. We have a little bit of chrome going through here, Corolla Cross branding, and blacked out roof rails up at the top. One thing that you cannot get on the gas versions of the Corolla Cross is the two-tone roof, so keep that in mind. You have to spring for the hybrid to get that. Now as we head around to the rear design of this vehicle, we're not going to see any big changes for 2026. It's going to be your typical Corolla Cross look to it. As far as individual design touches, we have a body color spoiler up here at the top, a rear window wiper, our silver Toyota branding, and let's take a look at our taillights. So for 2026, they have upgraded these a little bit. So you have the LED brake light and LED turn signal indicator standard on all models instead of just the expensive versions. You do still keep the incandescent reverse light though, even here on the loaded example. Down below we have a little bit of matte black, a little bit of body color, and then our exhaust outlet's kind of sticking out there of the bottom. As far as your tow rating is concerned, it's 1,500 pounds. Now, one of the really nice things that Toyota includes across the board for the Corolla Cross is every single active safety feature that will include adaptive cruise control and things like auto high beam headlamps. Now, as far as the interior is concerned, there are some pretty big updates for 2026 that we need to dive into. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we have reviewed over 2,000 vehicles at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from humble to high-end, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. Let's move on to the interior. Now, since we're focusing on the gas-powered options for this review, I'll go ahead and point out you get smart entry on all but the base L, which is a gas-only trim. And that means for the XLE, of course, walk up, just grab behind the handle, and that will unlock the door. And then, welcome inside the interior. You're going to see some pretty significant upgrades in terms of your everyday usability with this model, and also with the luxurious appearance of the interior. So you can't really see it as much with today's tester because we have the black option, but 2026 adds a new interior color for just the XLE. It's called Portobello, and that's going to give you, again, just this more premium appearance than what you've ever had available on the Corolla Cross. Now, in terms of the seating material, you get a Softex leatherette on just the XLE. The lower two gas trims will come with a cloth seat instead. Overall, the seats are nice and comfortable. You also have power adjustment and two-way lumbar support on the XLE. No memory seats, though, no matter what. And let's climb on inside. Closing up the door there, let's talk about the rest of the cabin materials. Over here on the door trim, we have a leatherette. This would be matched to the color of the seats if you got that new Portobello color option. Soft touch plastic with a stitching detail for the upper part of the door trim. Upper part of the dashboard, though, will be a hard touch plastic on all trims. We have a soft touch material with a stitching detail that runs through the center section. And then our lower panel here has a little bit of silver and piano black accenting to give it a better appearance. Overall, fairly solid materials throughout. Now let's fire it up with the push button start. So with the Corolla Cross fired up, let's dig in first of all with our gauge cluster and some other individual features of the interior. Now, if you've had a previous Corolla Cross, you'll notice that we've got a full digital gauge cluster. This is new for 2026 to the XLE trim level, and it's basically the same as what you get in the Big Brother RAV4, a little bit more of a premium tech with good graphics, and it is customizable. Pulling back to the steering wheel, this version gets a leatherette wrapped steering wheel. Also new for 2026 is that the weather package becomes standard equipment, so that means a heated steering wheel is standard on the XLE. It's manual tilt and telescoping, of course. Now, in terms of interior storage, Toyota has revised this console area, so let's go through it. We'll start with the actual center console. If we open that up, you'll see inside a decent amount of space. It's not overly large, though, because you can see it's kind of just this squared off shape that's not super deep. We don't have our donuts with us today because we're in Sonoma, California, and we can't travel with all of them, but when we get this back home to Kentucky to do a full test on it, I'm going to say that that's probably going to be less than 10 donuts for sure, probably like 6 or 7 donuts, and that's a little small in comparison to some of the rivals. Now, in front of that, you have 2 deep cup holders, and then this is the part that's been changed for 2026. We now got this more boxy arrangement. It allows for 2 phones to be side by side up there. This side is a wireless phone charging pad on all but the L gas trim. And then we have a new shifter this year as well. It's more boxy, more premium looking with the leather boot. Pull back for drive bump over here. If you want to shift through some manual simulated gear changes, there are not paddle shifters on the steering wheel. Going into reverse, here's our standard backup camera. As you can see, resolution is decent. It is a nice large display though, and we also have active trajectory with parking sensors for just the XLE trim. And then right next to that, you have your automatic engaging parking brake and also your brake hold function. Up in front of that, we have a row of buttons here. This is for our heated seats. That's another thing that was part of that weather package, previously optional on XLE, but now standard 2026 is that you have heated seats. Ventilated seats are not offered, which is not super common in this segment, but a few rivals do offer that. And then the other button is where you turn on and off your auto start stop system. Now, in terms of our climate control system, the L comes with a manual setup, single zone for the LE, and then XLE gets the dual zone setup. Very simple to use with your prominent knobs there and full physical buttons. Speaking of buttons, we've got some new buttons for our audio system since the upsize display, which I'm getting ready to talk about, removes the actual volume knob. I guess they ran out of space for it. So on this XLE, we have the optional JBL sound system for about $800. Otherwise, everything else will get a 6-speaker sound system. Let's sample it. So overall sound quality of this system is pretty good. It fills up the cabin nicely. It has plenty of bass, which I think a lot of people will be looking for in this segment of vehicle. And I will say though, the volume buttons are a little bit more fiddly and, as you could see, take a little while to adjust up and down compared to the previous knob. That being said, we've got a new display for 2026. This is a 10.5-inch display, which replaces the previous top size of 8 inches. All the X trims will get this, but everything below will get a 8-inch display instead. Regardless, you get wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay ability. That's what I'm in right now. And I can cycle into Toyota's system here and show you what their multimedia system looks like. They have a built-in navigation system, which is lagging a little bit there, but as you can see, pretty good. Does have traffic and stuff built into it during the trial period. And then up top here, we've got an manual dimming mirror, but it has the frameless design like an auto dimming mirror. And we also have our HomeLink universal remotes. The XLE, I'm noticing, has a light colored headliner as opposed to the black one on the XSE. And we also still have the available sunroof. So this is optional on your LE and your XLE trims. It has a sunshade and a wind buffer.
Now we need to talk about the rear seat area of the Corolla Cross. We'll first begin with overall space in this model. So we're sitting at 32 inches of legroom, 39 inches of headroom. Those are pretty decent figures for the segment, especially when you're talking about the headroom. That's pretty good. The legroom is definitely going to be on the smaller side compared to what options you could be getting in this segment. That's, of course, why we brought along the official Car Confections ruler as well, so you can get a realistic knee room figure. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", I'm 5'9", and we are sitting at right around the 5 inches of knee room. That's not fantastic, but it's going to be doable for most people. My feet can slide up underneath of these seats. These seats are going to be a little bit harder here in the back than the front, so do keep that in mind, and they do not recline. Now, if you want the center armrest, you will have to choose the XLE grade in the gas lineup. That gives you 2 cup holders as well. And then we also have rear vents. Those are actually standard equipment on every single Corolla Cross. And then your higher end examples will give you the USB ports down here as well. Now, let's take a look at the door trim. It's mostly hard touch plastic. The entire upper portion as well as the center section is hard touch. However, we do have a leatherette pad for your arm to rest on, and then there's a bottle storage right here. Just be aware there's not actually much door storage. Walking up to the tailgate, you do have an optional power one, so that's pretty nice. Most of the options in this segment may not even have that as an option. And let's take a look at the overall cargo capacity. So we're sitting at 17 cubic feet behind the second row of seats. If I reach up here and fold them down, which is pretty easy, they fold 60-40 split. There are not any handles. You just have to kind of reach up and do them. That will give you your maximum of around 44 cubic feet of space. Now, do be aware, it depends on if you choose front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. That's for the all-wheel drive examples. The front-wheel drives will give you a couple more cubic feet of overall cargo capacity. Now, if you're curious as to how this lands in terms of cargo capacity, as well as other areas against its competition, there are a lot of options in this subcompact segment. We'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. By doing that, we've looked at the 10 most important categories, and our tool will allow you to sort based on those categories that might matter more to you, and you can see some of your best options, whether that be cargo capacity, interior technology, powertrain features, safety, and reliability resale value. All of that is detailed there for you, so if you want to make an informed buying decision, definitely go to our website and check that out. Now let's get to our cargo length, width, and height figures. From behind Drew's 5'8" driving position, we are looking at 67 inches of cargo length. From behind the second row of seats, about 31 inches. The opening is 41 inches wide, and then the height is coming in at 28 inches. As far as the load-in height, that is a pretty solid 30 inches in height. And then if we lift up the floor, one of the things that you will get on the gasoline version that you do not get on the hybrid is a spare tire. So if that matters to you, you will have to choose the gasoline option. Well guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2026 Corolla Cross XLE. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be trying to get our sound level reading, but first we need to start with a hard acceleration.
All right, that was a full throttle acceleration to about 53 miles per hour. We didn't have enough space before the red light to get to 60 with the Corolla Cross. So, of course, you know, we've been talking a lot about it, obviously, up to this point. This is the gas powertrain. So when you choose the hybrid, it's not just about efficiency. It does actually give you quite a bit more power than this. This is 169 horsepower and 150 pound-feet of torque, which is okay for this segment. You know, it's about average. Typically things in this segment are not very quick. I think the hybrid really is kind of above average, you could say, with 196 horsepower.
Yeah, it's fine. It's we did just drive the hybrid version of the Corolla Cross, and I will definitely point out that that feels a lot faster when it comes to the electric torque kind of kicking in. So even as much, you know, it seems like, oh, well, it's 169 horsepower versus 196. Not a huge difference, but I think the electric torque is a very key element in there. It definitely makes it feel a lot faster. Our good friends at Redline Reviews, I did a 0 to 60 and got a official time from this program, and they were looking at about 10.5 seconds to 0 to 60. So
Okay.
Pretty slow.
I was going to ask you, what do you think in reference to the HRV? Because these are the two things that are most likely to be cross-shopped, and it sounds like they're about the same in the grand scheme of things with the 0 to 60.
The HRV might be slightly slower just due to, I believe it's heavier, but for the vast majority of people that are choosing this, they're just looking for a point A to point B car. I think you'll be fine with either powertrain. It's not going to be excruciatingly slow. Just know that, you know, getting onto freeways and things like that, you will probably have a little bit of a lack of power.
Yeah, build up a little momentum, because it's definitely takes a little while to kind of get moving there. The CVT's got to find the right spot to go into. We might as well talk about the transmission. Is a continuously variable transmission. When you're going really heavy on the throttle, it has a shift simulation, which is nice because it helps avoid that drone that you otherwise would have.
And as far as how power is routed to the ground, you have standard front-wheel drive or optional all-wheel drive. The hybrid is all-wheel drive exclusive, and this model, of course, has all-wheel drive available, but they are two separate all-wheel drive systems. It's the mechanical all-wheel drive just because it's gas, whereas the hybrid is an electronic all-wheel drive system.
That was a true 0 to 60.
On a flat surface.
On a flat surface.
Yeah.
So there's your purest picture of what type of acceleration you can expect and the full simulation of the CVT gear changes.
Yeah. Now I want to talk about ride quality now that we're just kind of cruising down the highway portion here. The Corolla Cross has pretty good ride for the segment. Of course, with a subcompact SUV, you will feel some road intrusion for the larger bumps. We're obviously seeing that demonstrated right now because the roads out here in Napa, California are very, very rough. So I'm feeling quite a bit of intrusion. That being said, it's pretty good. The seats I do find to be really comfortable as well, so that's one thing I want to point out. The higher versions of the Corolla get the Softex leatherette seats. I think those are more comfortable than the previous cloth seats that we have tested out, so that's something to keep in mind maybe when you go to the dealership, sit in a couple different trim levels to make sure you're happy with the seats. But overall ride, pretty good. Now we'll speed up to 55 miles per hour so we can get you a sound level reading. Now, like we said, we are in Napa, California, so the roads are really kind of beat to pieces. So I'm imagining this is going to be pretty loud, but we'll give it a shot for those of you that are curious. All right, well, like I said, I told you I'd get a sound level.
That's actually hurting my ears.
64.9 is what we are sitting at. That's not all the car's fault. It is the road. So that is a pretty significant portion of that. That being said, we did test out the Corolla Cross Hybrid earlier today on a much better strip of road, and we are sitting in the upper 50s. That would be expected, I believe, for this gas model as well. So definitely not the quietest option in the segment. It's definitely not 65 decibels loud, though, just because of this road. That's part of the reason. Now let's also talk about fuel economy. So when you choose the gasoline variant of this vehicle, you will get worse fuel economy than the hybrid, as expected. So you're sitting at 32 miles per gallon combined with front-wheel drive, or 30 mpg with all-wheel drive, which is what this particular model has. So that's going to be about 12 mpg worse than the hybrid all-wheel drive that you would be getting. So yes, pros and cons, right? So yes, it might be a little bit of a less complicated powertrain setup, but you are paying about 12 mpg penalty, so that will definitely add up over your ownership experience. And let's do our slam dunk and airball, our favorite, least favorite element. Drew, kick us off with the slam dunk.
For the slam dunk, we're going to say the 2026 improvements. They have definitely done a good deal of work to this model for the 2026 model year, as we discussed all throughout, and those are all things that really move this product, I think, in a positive direction, and getting it, to be as competitive as possible with different types of rivals, because there's a lot of options in this segment.
Yeah. Now on the flip side, our airball is just going to be the price of this model and some of the materials inside of this cabin. What we're sitting in today is around $35,500. So it's, far from a cheap vehicle, I think, in this segment. It's one of the more expensive ones. And when you start knocking around on materials in here, it feels like a Corolla. And some of the options, like the Mazda CX-30, certainly would be a lot nicer materials and feel inside this cabin than this Corolla Cross for this money.
And also, I would just say that there's definitely some crossover between this and the RAV4 at this, this price point. So if you're getting an upper end one of these, you could also get a RAV4, and I don't feel like you would miss out on much in terms of equipment. You might have to sacrifice a thing or two, but the overall kind of package with the power, the interior, the space might actually be worth it. It's just something you'll need to evaluate on an individual basis.
And let's talk pricing. So we started a little under $25,000 for the base L version. Now, if you want all the goodies that you see on this particular model, that will of course cost you quite a bit more. We start at $31,010. We have the XLE model, as you can see. We also have almost all the option packages plus $1,450 destination. We're sitting at $35,404 as tested today. And by the way, this vehicle, like Drew said, is assembled in Huntsville, Alabama, so it's made in the U.S. If you're looking to buy a Toyota Corolla Cross or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that'll connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use while dealer negotiating. If you'd like to take advantage of that, as well as things like our monthly payment tool, you can find a link to that in our video description, as well as a pinned comment down below. But buying a vehicle is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's discuss resale and reliability. First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, we took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Toyota Corolla Cross's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 64.5% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 100,000 miles, or 120,000 miles, 41.4%. Now, it's worth noting those are really some of the very best resale value percentages in the entire auto industry. There's only one brand that is better, so that is very impressive, and also I think very important for a more affordable vehicle like this. It's going to retain a lot of its value, so you're not going to be paying a lot in depreciation to own this.
And another thing that Toyota really excels in is, of course, reliability. That's why we have the Combined Reliability Index, which takes into account several studies on reliability from trustworthy sources, combines them into a way that gives you a holistic picture. And when you factor all that in with the latest data, Toyota is sitting right at the top of the list.
Yeah, it is actually our #1 brand, and if you want to learn more about our resale values, our reliability, or our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. Now, when it comes to your warranty, you have a 3-year 36,000-mile basic warranty, a 5-year 60,000-mile powertrain warranty, and you do also get 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. And guys, that wraps up our in-depth review of the 2026 Toyota Corolla Cross XLE. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, which we hope you did, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.